I'm Stephanie Champagne and one of the trainers at Animal Pet Services. For me, loose leash walking means that I'm relaxed, my dog is relaxed, and therefore the leash is loose and relaxed as well. It does not matter to me if my dog is in front, on my left, or on my right, as long as the leash is loose. I also want to make sure that my arm is loose and relaxed at my side, not being pulled up by the dog pulling.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Plant from Courage Canine. How do I know that my dog is ready for loose leash walking? Depends on where you're going to walk. Is your dog ready for those kinds of distractions? Are there things that your dog's going to be afraid of? But if you walk in a non-distracting environment, a natural environment, nobody else around, you can start right away. Because learning is always happening. Every waking moment of puppies, dogs are learning.
You have probably noticed that as soon as you clip a leash to your dog, they are pulling you. That is something called opposition reflex. Opposition reflex is essentially when our dogs feel something pulling them, they just pull against it.
There isn't a single harness in this world that teaches your dog to pull. They learn to pull on leash because we inadvertently teach them to pull on leash. What's the reward for pulling? It's that you get to go where you want to go. So, if pulling gets the dog where he wants to go, to a smelly bush for example, then we're teaching him to pull. We're rewarding him for pulling if we follow him, right?
Hi, I'm Carol Millman with Wag the Dog, and I'm here to talk to you about loose leash walking. If you want to avoid being pulled over on the street, if you want your dog to walk nicely with you, you're going to have to stop pulling on the leash. Here I have Ched. Say hello, Ched. Ched is going to be playing the puppet. There are people who actively move their dog around by the leash. If they want their dog in heel position, they hold the dog in heel. If they want the dog to go over here, they hold the dog over here. And if they want the dog to come with them, they pull the dog back. Here we see Ched being a very good dog, lying nicely near my feet. And he's got lots of leash. But a leash eater does this when they have lots of leash for their dog, until the dog's leash is tight again. So the dog is right next to my foot, being a very good boy, almost as if he were a stuffed animal, and he's still on a tight leash, because I ate the leash. I've now replaced Ched with an actual living dog. Say hi, Ginny. Good girl. Because I don't want to treat Ginny like a puppet, I hold my leash by the loop. This loop here is for your hand. The best way to do it is to do it like this, so the dog can't possibly pull out of your grip. But honestly, that's just not a worry with Ginny. Is it, Ginny? Yeah. When I want to walk, I don't steer Ginny. I just start walking and ask her to walk with me. Ginny, will you come with me? Come on. That's a good girl. Can we go for a walk together? Thank you. And we go for a walk together. And her leash is not being used to steer or puppeteer her in any way. It's just there to make sure that she doesn't get into mischief. Right, little girl? This is Bailey. More than anything, he wants to be able to walk to the beach, and his owner wants to take him. But in order to get there, they have to walk as a team. The deal is a simple one. I won't pull you, and you won't pull me. We can only walk if we're not pulling each other. He could get treats for being a good boy, but he doesn't want treats. He wants beach. He's getting really excited, and oh no, he pulled his owner. Let's try that stretch again. All right, he's still really excited, but he's paying attention to where his owner is, and he's trying hard not to drag her. He's at the end of his leash, but he's not pulling. The closer we get, the more excited he gets. We have to redo a few sections. That's to be expected, but this is definitely the best he's ever done. He's getting so close. Can he hold himself back?
Hi, my name is Heather. I run Proud of My Dog training in beautiful New Denver, BC. When you put a leash on a dog, they don't know what that means, and they are going to surge ahead. When that happens, of course, is there's a bit of pressure that gets put on the leash. Just like this. And when that happens, what do we usually do? We pull back. And then what does my dog do? They pull forward. It triggers that opposition reflex, and my dog learns that if I pull hard enough, eventually my human is going to take a few steps and move forward with me. And what do we get? We get a dog who pulls on leash. So I'm going to introduce you to the give in to leash pressure game to change that picture around. And this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to get Piper on her feet. Now, when I say put the pressure on, I'm not talking about dragging my dog. Now you notice that the leash, good girl, is straight, and that's all the pressure I really need. I'm not trying to move my dog. I just want to apply a little bit of pressure. When she gives into the pressure and comes into me, I'm going to reinforce that. So put a bit of pressure this way. Yes, good girl. And I'm going to reinforce that. Put a bit of pressure this way. Yes. So I quickly get a dog who starts to learn at the first layer to give into that pressure and follow me. Yes, good girl. Playing this game, I like to do it on a harness because even if I'm putting gentle pressure on, I don't want to get in the habit of having playing this game around a collar, because the collar can put pressure on a very sensitive part of your dog's body. So this is a good game to be playing with a harness. That was the first layer. The second layer now is I'm going to toss a bit of food and let my dog get it and apply that pressure. Good girl. Now, Piper, of course, right now is making it look easy. She's played this game before. You might have to apply that pressure and just wait your dog out. It might take a little bit before they turn into you. The third layer of this game is now I'm going to be about tossing some food outside of my dog's reach, waiting for them to give in to the pressure, and then I'm going to bring them around my body and we're going to go together to get that food, and it looks like this. So here we go. Yes, good girl. Bring her around the body, and yeah, so she gets a couple of treats over here. So she gets 2 or 3 treats for that effort. So we will show you that one more time. Toss one ahead, so apply the pressure, good girl, and around, and here we go, right there. Good job, girl. That is the give in to leash pressure game.
Hi all, this is Ivy here, and my name is Maren Brun, and my business is Paw in Hand. My absolute favorite thing is to spend time in the great outdoors with my dog alongside. Having the right walking equipment can make all the difference in enjoying time out together with your dog on a walk. So the 3 essentials for enjoying a walk with your paw partner. You want a well-fitted, secure, comfortable harness. One with 2 attachment points, one on the front, one on the back, and make sure there is plenty of room for their legs, their shoulders, their shoulder blades to move. You want it to sit back far enough. Super important. Having 2 attachment points can come in handy if you're still in training and it gets really busy out there. You need that little added bit of physical control. Have an extra carabiner handy on the end of your leash. You can put the handle end, you can clip it to one part of the harness, you can have the other clip attached to the other part of the harness, and you can have some physical control if you really need it. But the best option is always to get distance away from the distracting things. Using as long a leash as you can safely and effectively manage will make your walks better. Your dog will be less frustrated, they'll have room to sniff, and you'll be less frustrated because you can keep walking, they catch up with you, they move ahead. Sometimes you don't even have to change pace. But take time to get efficient at using it. More or less, you can let it out, a couple loops like that. You can gather it in, and you always have that one hand there for control, that hand there to signal and reward your dog. And you want a length that you are good at managing, and the weight of the leash appropriate to your dog's weight as well. And the treat pouch, poop bags, some really good high value treats, because there's a lot of things to compete with your attention out there when you're walking, and there's even room for a ball and stuff in there.
If you are really struggling with pulling, I really recommend that you invest in a good front clip harness. Now the front clip is really important because what happens is when we clip the leash to that front clip and the dog pulls, it just kind of turns them around instead of letting that energy propel forward. So it really helps to reduce the pressure while our dogs are in training. I like harnesses that have both the front and the back clip.
So to fit the harness, we first have a collar piece. We have the collar bit, which goes on the back. Collar piece, which we put on first. Then the collar bit goes on the back. This piece that goes between the front legs needs to be long enough that the straps on either side do not sit up in the armpits. As you can see, I've got more than 2 fingers here between the armpit and the strap. Okay, it should be comfortably snug, like your wristwatch, in order that it doesn't slide around, because that would be uncomfortable for the dog. The dog's head is up, the top piece will be loose, it becomes a handle, and The piece that goes between the front legs lies snug to the dog's chest. When the head goes down, this piece lies flat and this piece becomes loose. This is so that the dog can have free head movement up and down.
Today, I'd like to show you a few tips on how to teach loose leash walking. I like to start super basic by having the dog follow you as you step backwards, rewarding them as they walk towards you. When your dog is reliably following you, when you take a step back, turn so you're facing the same direction as your dog. Take a step, reward at your side. Take a step, reward at your side. A helpful tip, if you're walking with your dog on your right side, try to deliver your food rewards from your right hand. If your dog's on your right and you deliver your food rewards from your left hand, there's a chance your dog will cut in front of you, right in front of your feet, and potentially trip you. Happy walking!
I'm Valerie Berry, and I'm the owner and one of a team of 3 trainers who run Dog Partners. Leash training is a big part of having a dog you can easily include in all your family activities. The first step is shaping your dog to remain close to you. Here I'm starting out with Merle, simply standing still and using treat positioning beside my leg to encourage him to remain beside me before we even start walking. Rebecca is working with Frankie on the next steps of leash walking. She's verbally marking him when the leash is loose and using the position of her treat reinforcement to continue to shape him for remaining close to her. She's working in a fenced yard, so there are few distractions, and it's easy for him to listen and learn in these early stages of training. In this next video, I'm working with Merle in an area where he's normally free to roam about, so it's harder for him to focus on leash training and represents a slightly higher distraction for him. Anytime Merle loses focus or adds tension to the leash, I simply stop moving, encourage him to come back close to me, and then continue walking when he's re-engaged with me. After leash tension occurs, Merle and I walk a few steps before I resume verbally marking and reinforcing him for a loose leash. I want to ensure that I'm reinforcing walking on a loose leash and not, instead, accidentally reinforcing a yo-yo behavior, pulling and then coming back to me. He's a very young dog and easily distracted, so we're only going to work on leash skills for less than 5 minutes at a time. Stacy is working with 7-month-old Calvin. She's working with him in a popular local park. Once again, Stacy is verbally marking a loose leash and keeping the treat reinforcement close to her side to encourage him to stay close. In this video, we see Rebecca working with Frankie once again. This time, they're working on building duration. She is focusing on keeping him engaged in his loose leash walking, using verbal praise and encouragement and less treat reinforcement. They're working on a side street, so the area isn't too busy for him. The environment they chose makes it easy for him to be successful at this stage in his training. During the first few weeks of having a new puppy, the goal is not walking on leash, but rather having experiences on a leash that are simply focused on keeping the leash loose while using treats and play to keep exposure positive and fun. The very first lesson we teach is ideally started without a leash, teaching puppies a following exercise. Puppies are shaped to catch up to us as we amble about a safe and contained area. We click or verbally mark and treat them as they catch up to us and use the position of the treat to shape where we want them to hang out when they're walking with us. Here Rebecca has a first session with very bouncy puppy Mika in her yard. The training sessions are very short at this age with lots of breaks in between. It doesn't take long for puppies to catch on, and we can add in the leash to the training before long, but the exercise remains the same. Mark and treat puppy for following you.
Hi, my name is Julia. I'm the owner and head trainer of Neighborhound Dog Training. And today, Abby and I are gonna show you how to get your puppy started on loose leash walking. There are 3 steps to get started with. In the first step, I will walk backwards and reward my puppy for following me. I really find that when I walk backwards, it often helps my puppy to focus on me and not get too distracted with other things that are in the environment. In the second step, I will walk forward and again reward my puppy for following me. And as you see in the video, in both cases, I always put the treat on the ground so that I have some time to take a few steps as my puppy is eating the treat, can then reward my puppy for following me. In the third step, I will teach my puppy to follow me no matter which direction I go. So as before, I will put a treat on the ground for the puppy to eat, and as they're doing so, I will take a step away in any direction. And I will mark and reward them for turning towards me and then feed a treat right by my side.
Working on leash skills helps prevent reactive dogs from scanning for triggers and keeps them engaged in working with their guardians instead. It also gives their guardians something to focus on too, so they aren't also scanning for triggers and sending all that anxiety down the leash to their dogs. The steps for teaching reactive dogs to walk nicely on leash are simple. Click or verbally mark for a loose leash and reinforce with a treat at your side to encourage your dog to walk close to you. If there's tension or a lunge forward, stop moving and encourage your dog to come back to you for a reset, and then resume walking once they calm down and refocus. Distance from triggers is important during the training. We must find the threshold where each dog can remain engaged with their guardians and focused on their job of walking on leash. Here we see Joey at his first leash lesson with Rebecca. He's a young boxer frustrated that he can't go and visit dogs he spots out on his walks. He's going to be a big, strong adult dog, so it's important he learns to walk on leash nicely and respond to direction from his guardians. Within a very short time, he's able to walk much more calmly around dogs and remain engaged with Rebecca.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, my name is Vanessa. I'm from Evolved Dog Training. This is Diva, and we're going to teach you how to loose leash walk. When I'm teaching a dog to loose leash walk, my first sign that my dog is ready is focus on me. So I teach eye contact first and foremost to my puppies and my dogs so that they are ready to focus on me and loose leash walk. So what I do for this is I just put the puppy down, wait for focus on me. Yes. You can also toss the treat on the ground. Wait for focus. Yes. Good. And the other thing I teach before I start loose leash walking is getting into position. So I step back, circle, and bring my dog into position. I need my dog to be able to stay stationary in this position, yes, in order for me to practice loose leash walking. First step to loose leash walking is teaching our dog to stay by our side. Yes. I use the mark word yes to let my dog know that he is doing the right behavior. Once your dog can stay by your side, I'm going to play the follow me game. I'm going to take a couple steps. Yes. Yes. Once your dog is following you consistently, I'm going to start adding some cones. Good. Yes. 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 Once he's doing well, I'm then going to reward every second. Yes. Yes. Good boy. And then lastly, we're going to do about 3 or 4 cones. Yes. 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 Once your dog can do these steps inside, we will then take it outside to a more distracting area. I usually like to start with a parking lot or a park with less distractions than usual. And as your dog gets better at loose leash walking, we can increase the distraction and support him in being a good loose leash walker.
When do you start loose leash walking? Well, I would start at the end of your walk. Don't start at the beginning. You know how your puppy is. You leave the door and your puppy is like, oh my God, I gotta check out everything. I gotta sniff here, run over there, do this. Try to get focus from that. No, it's gonna be really rough and you're setting yourself up for failure. So instead, making sure that you start at the end so that your puppies have a chance to just get all that excitement out. They're far less excited by the time you're finishing your walk than when you are beginning your walk.
So what's the secret to helping your dog be successful when you're walking on a leash? Well, for me, it's all about building value for proximity to you. And in order to do that, I've got 3 games that I'm going to introduce you to. So to start, I'm going to put some food in one hand. I have it in my left hand, you could have it in your right hand. So this is what the game is going to look like. I'm just going to toss a treat to get her up. And when she comes into me, I'm going to give her a treat. Take a couple of steps back, she's going to approach, I'll give her a treat. Going to take some steps to the right, give her a treat. When she follows me to the left, she comes here, I give her a treat. Step forward, good girl. There we go. And that is the essence of the proximity. And they're starting to learn that where's the value? The value is if I hang out with my person. The next game is the proximity vortex. And for this game, it's nice to have some low value food in one hand and some high value food in another. And I'm just rooting through my pouch here to get some kibble. So I've got kibble in one hand and I've got high value food in another. This is about teaching my dog that when they're out ahead of me and they're engaged in something on the ground or some distraction in the environment, that yeah, there's value out there, but most of the value is if they come back here with me, and that's where the high value food comes into place. So here we go. I'm going to toss a treat out. Get it. And when she comes into me, I'm going to feed, 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 feed. I want to make this a bit of a reward experience. Get it? And I can also feed them out. That's fine too. All right, so that is the proximity zone and the proximity vortex. They build on each other. Now the third game we're going to play is the check me out circle game. As my dog is learning to have value for being around me, I want to start adding in a little bit of movement, so we're just going to head out into the grass. So a couple of workarounds when you're playing this game: if your dog won't come to you, but if they just give you a head turn and look at you, you can mark that with a yes. You'll feed once and then you'll toss the treat away. As your dog gets better at coming into your space, it's coming into your space that's going to cause you to toss food into the middle of your circle. So you want to play this game in a confined space, so a fenced yard. You're going to keep walking. If they don't come to you initially, that's fine. Just keep walking in a circle. Eventually your dog will get curious and come over to check you out or just look at you. And that's okay. You can mark and reward that. Here we go. As your dog gets good at the game, the way to grow it is to start, when they come and check in with you, take a few more steps before you actually toss the treat into the center. And it would look like this. What is loose leash walking other than a dog who wants to hang out with you?